What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. It's been a minute, but I am back. I want to show the deck that I've been playing recently in Marvel Snap. I've been playing this deck pretty much the entire time. I experimented with Dakin, however you pronounce his name. I experimented him with a little bit. He was okay. I wasn't that interested in the card, to be honest. Maybe I'll do some decks on him later on. But this is the deck I've been playing pretty much since I got to, I think, around like rank 80 on. I've been playing this deck list, which came from Lamby series. Now, I think a bunch of other people have been playing something similar to this deck, but I got the list originally from Lamby series. So shout out Lamby. I'll leave a link to his Twitter as well as his Twitch down in the description below. Go ahead and check him out for some Marvel Snap gameplay. Now here, I'm not going to do any gameplay because I kind of just want to, take it easy, ease back into my first video in a while. So we're just going to talk about the deck real quick and what it does, right? So this is just like a basic sort of like mid-range, good cards movement deck, as well as with some disruption elements to it. So there are a couple changes from this deck to Lamby's deck. The main one being Legion, because I do not own Legion. And instead of Legion, I put in Vision, because Vision is also a 5/8, which is a really good stat line. It's right below Shang-Chi range, so he is safe from Shang-Chi, and he can move each turn. So you can move him to buff up your Kraven. You can play him on Angela, move him, play something else on top of Angela, right? So I put in Vision for the stats as well as the movement. If you do have Legion, I would probably just recommend keeping Legion in, because from what I've seen, he does seem like a really good card. Or if you don't have Legion, you don't want to play Vision for whatever reason, maybe you put in something like Scarlet Witch or Storm for more location control. I've seen other people say they've played this deck with like Cloak, which could be good as well. So just try and find something that fits your play style, right? And the other card here that I put in was Polaris. Previously, Lamby had Hulkbuster in this slot, and I can kind of see Hulkbuster making sense because he did get buffed from a 3/4 to a 3/5. Plus, you can put him on top of things like Jeff or Captain Marvel and move those cards around, which is really nice. But personally, I found that Hulkbuster wasn't really doing a whole lot for me. I just kind of left him in my hand most games. But I feel like Polaris has been pretty good for me. She's a 3/5, good stats with that disruption element, moving your opponent's cards around, as well as, again, potentially buffing up your Kraven. So those are the two changes from the deck list: Polaris and Vision instead of Legion and Hulkbuster. Now let's just go ahead and kind of break down the cards one by one. Starting off with Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is one of the MVPs of this deck list. You can play Kitty Pryde over and over again to buff up your Angela, which is really nice. You can play it on top of Silk to activate the Silk movement, which will then activate your Miles Morales or buff up your Kraven. So Kitty Pryde obviously is going to be your best card to play on turn one, and I like to play her every turn if I can to get the maximum amount of points possible. So just one of the best cards in the deck still, even though she did get recently nerfed. Now we have Angela. Angela is another one of those MVPs of the deck list. I have found Angela getting consistently to 8 power or sometimes 10 power. Now what I will say is there's a lot of Shang-Chi in the meta right now, right? A lot of Shang-Chi to keep those decks in check, the greedy decks in check. So sometimes if you think your opponent has Shang-Chi and you are revealing first, your opponent reveals second, sometimes you don't want to get your Angela to 10 power, because I actually had a game where I predicted they're going to Shang-Chi my Angela if she went to 10 power. I had priority, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave my Angela at 8 power. That way she's safe from Shang-Chi. And what do you know? They played Shang-Chi and he whiffed because Angela was 8 power. So keep that in mind. There is a little bit of this deck can be a little bit tricky to pilot. There's a lot of turn by turn decisions that can really affect how the game goes. So you kind of got to keep that in mind that, you know, sometimes if you think your opponent is not playing Shang-Chi, just go as greedy as possible. Get her to 10 power, 12 power, so on and so forth. But if you think your opponent, maybe they're snapping turn 5, turn 6, you think they have a Shang-Chi, maybe it's best to keep her under that 9 power threshold. But again, just a really, really good card. Then we have Kraven here. Of course, we got a lot of movement going on in this deck list. We're moving our own cards. We're moving our opponent's cards. So again, Kraven is another one that I found usually gets around like 2, 6, 2, 8 power. Again, another one of those things where you might want to keep him but below the Shang-Chi range. But I think it's okay if you have, let's say, like Angela in one lane, Kraven in the other. Maybe then you can get a little bit greedy, because if they're separated, your opponent can only play Shang-Chi in one lane. So I usually try and kind of distribute the power evenly, you know, as much as I can. That way they don't all get blasted by Shang-Chi. Next up, we have Jeff, my favorite card in the game. I have been saying this for a couple months now. If you're gonna ask me what is the replacement for Jeff, I'm gonna tell you, just buy Jeff, man. Just buy it. Just buy Jeff. He's the best card in the game, in my opinion. He is just flexible. He moves. He goes into any deck. Just really good in this deck. Just a 2/3 that you can move around anywhere, especially with a lot of Professor X in the current meta. He goes really good against those Professor X decks because you can surprise your opponent, play a Jeff into that Professor X lane on the last turn of the game, or move him into the lane, move him out of the lane. Jeff doesn't give a F, right? So if you're gonna ask me what the replacement for Jeff is, just buy Jeff, man. Just do it already, okay? And then we have Silk. Silk is a card that is, how would I describe it? I guess I would say chaotic, right? It's a little bit chaotic when you see Silk swinging back and forth from all the locations, but a 2/5 is very, very good stats. And since she can move around a lot, she'll activate your Miles as well as buff up your Kraven. So Silk is actually a really good card in this deck list. Is she required? I don't know. I don't know if I would say she's 100% required, but I think the deck would be weaker without Silk. If you don't have Silk, I'd probably put in Cloak, who's a 2/4, which also has the on reveal ability to move your cards, right? And your opponent can move their cards too, which could hurt you, could help you if you have Kraven on the board. So if you don't have Silk, I would probably recommend Cloak. I'm not sure how well that is going to work. I think it would be a downgrade, but I think you could still play this deck without Silk if you really want to. And then, of course, we have Polaris. I already talked about her a little bit. Now we have the new Spider-Man, which got a big change recently. So he is now a 3/5, which is, again, a premium stat line, sharing the same stat line with Polaris now. But his on reveal ability says move to another location, pull an enemy card from here to there. So what does that mean exactly? So usually what I like to do is play him on top of the Angela location, because you'll play him on top of the Angela location. He'll move to another location, a random location, and he will pull a card from the old location to the new location. So it's good for buffing up your Angela and then moving it. That way you can play more cards on top of that Angela lane. He's also good for just moving into those tricky locations. He's also good for, again, just disrupting your opponent's cards, maybe moving something to fill up a lane on their side. So it's really good to just kind of mess with your opponent's cards, right? And again, triggering your Miles Morales. Shang-Chi, not much to say here, just one of the best cards in the game, and the best tech card in the game. Next up, we have Captain Marvel, which again got recently changed. A lot of the cards in this deck recently got changed one way or another. But Captain Marvel's now a 4/5. Previously, she was a 5/6. And this card has won me so many games. Captain Marvel is just a really fun card, a really good card that can just save your ass sometimes. So she's going to move to a random location at the end of the game and win you the game, literally, if she is able to, right? So Captain Marvel is really good to play on top of Angela. She'll go ahead and move into another location. And one thing I will say is that you want to play your Captain Marvel and your Kraven in 2 separate lanes, because I have literally had this happen where all 3 locations were tied in a game. Captain Marvel and Kraven were in 2 separate locations, and Captain Marvel will take into account that +2 buff from Kraven to win you the game. And that's what happened. That is what happened. Captain Marvel literally moved to Kraven's location, and I barely won that game. I won that game by 2 points, the 2 points that you get from Kraven. So those little just advantages, those little advantages you gotta take advantage of. Did that make sense? Those little points that may not seem like a lot. Like 2 points doesn't seem like a lot, right? But you need to maximize your advantages with this deck as much as you possibly can. And Captain Marvel moving into the Kraven lane sometimes will win you the game. It literally happened to me. So just something to keep in mind. Next up, we have Miles Morales. Just pure value, pure stats. We have a million ways to activate his cost reduction. So he's just 5 points for 1 energy. Pretty simple. Nothing much else to it. Already talked about Vision a little bit. Put him in instead of Legion. And then we have your girl, America Chavez. Because a lot of these cards we want to play prior to turn 6, right? A lot of these cards, Kitty Pryde, we want to get her down as early as possible. Angela, you want to get her down the earliest possible. Kraven, Vision, right? A lot of these cards you want to get down before turn 6. So America Chavez just kind of helps with that consistency. And sometimes she's just a reliable turn 6 play if you have nothing else to play on the board. But again, something else I will say is sometimes maybe you play Vision turn 6. Why is that? Because again, that 8 and 9 power threshold is all the difference with Shang-Chi, right? America Chavez is vulnerable to Shang-Chi and Vision isn't. Again, I've had that happen where, okay, my opponent, I'm revealing first. If my opponent Shang-Chi's my America Chavez, I lose. But if I play a Vision, he is safe from Shang-Chi and I win the game. So I opted for the Vision. He is 1 point less, but it makes all the difference in the world because he is safe from Shang-Chi, right? So again, sometimes you play her. Really not that often you play her, to be honest. Like usually you want to be like unloading your hand on turn 6 with multiple cards, or maybe just like Vision plus Kitty or something like that, right? But she provides extra consistency in the deck list, and that is very, very valuable. So that is the deck. I've been playing this, I think since from like rank 80 to rank 97 is where I'm at currently. And as of recording this video, I have a 63% win rate over 54 games. And that's a pretty decent sample size, right? Like, I know some people will be like, yo, 80% win rate, and then they play like 5 games or whatever, right? Be like, yo, 90% win rate, bro. And they played like 10 games. Well, you know, that's not bad. That's not bad. But 54 games is a pretty decent sample size. And this is just on PC. I play Marvel Snap a lot more on mobile, so the stats are probably even better overall. That is the deck list. Once again, shout out Lamby for originally creating the deck list. I believe he originally did. I don't know. I saw some other people, I think KM Best and Revis were also playing something similar, but I got the list from Lamby, so I'm going to go ahead and credit Lamby on this one. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And let me know if you like this style of video of me just kind of talking about the deck and no gameplay. The reason I didn't do gameplay is because it's not as exciting as like when you're streaming gameplay, right? When I'm just kind of sitting here recording gameplay just by myself without like the chat or anything, you know, without streaming. It's not as fun in my opinion. So maybe if I get the time to do some streams, maybe I'll take some stream gameplay, throw it into the video, be like, hey, here's the deck, and then throw in the stream gameplay or whatever. But let me know how you like this type of video. It's a little bit more of a discussion, right? It's just a discussion, talking about the deck, talking about the meta. And once again, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like. I would really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe as well and help me get to 2,000 subscribers. That would make me very, very happy. Thank you guys once more. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.